So the genetic analysis of multiple sclerosis study is looking at determining whether there are specific areas within the human genome that increase the chances of people developing multiple sclerosis. At the basic level, we needed as many samples of DNA from patients with multiple sclerosis as we could feasibly obtain. And those samples would usually be a single blood sample, but could occasionally be a saliva sample if the patient was really keen to avoid a needle. I was very keen to begin this study because I could see the potential for the outputs of the study. The difficulty is the fact that one is running a busy NHS clinic, and what we were trying to do was to align the research with and the acquisition of samples in the context of a busy MS clinic. What the network, and particularly Dendron at the time, helped us to achieve was the logistical support.
So in 2009 we embarked on setting up the study at these sites across Greater Manchester. We got them up and running, so the clinical studies officer would establish how many patients there might be at each clinic week by week. The research nursing team would then go and support the clinical teams at those particular sites and recruit the patients and take the samples.
Dendron allowed us to reliably capture which patients were suitable to be approached, to approach those patients, to gain their consent, then to take the sample of either blood or saliva, and then ensure that the sample was properly stored before it then went on subsequently for DNA extraction, either locally or in Cambridge.
I think the added value of the research network was that we were able to go to each of these sites across the region. We were able to establish relationships with the R&D teams, with the clinical teams, and we were able then to facilitate the setup more easily. And I think from working on the MS study, we've now been able to roll out other studies across these sites more easily because we've already got those relationships and those working practices in place. And I think for the research network team, I think it's important, it's giving them exposure to working with patients with multiple sclerosis, and obviously that will benefit us in the future. Here in Salford, they've managed to recruit over 1,100 patients since the study began in 2009, and I think across Greater Manchester we recruited over 1,800 patients to the study. So we've really maximise the opportunity for patients across Greater Manchester to participate in a portfolio study, and it's been a great success both for the patients, for the team in Cambridge, and for the team here in Greater Manchester.
The network has provided that logistical support. It's provided staff, it's provided the clinical studies officers to maintain the paperwork, for example, to the appropriate standard, and the coordination of now what are several thousand samples. So I consider this to be an exemplar of how the networks and the NHS can work together for mutual benefit and for the benefit of patients.